Hello everyone and welcome back to another Photo Mishmash. I'm Christina.
And I'm Toby.
And this is episode
74. Back to the camera.
Oh.
Not that one.
Hello everyone, welcome back.
Thank you for joining us
Yes.
for another wonderful Photo Mishmash. This is that weekly show where we take all of the week's photo news, rumors, gear bits, mash it all up, and share it with you.
Yep, every show, sorry, go ahead.
I'm Toby, photographer and educator.
And I'm Christina. I'm a full-time wedding photographer. And every show, we bring you the week's photography news, we bring you photography challenges, we bring you informative discussions, and at the very end of each show, we answer your questions live. So if you're on the chat right now and you're on the chat throughout the show, leave your questions there. We'll be collecting them. Roy, our chat moderator, will be collecting them and adding them to our queue. And we'll get to as many as we can.
Some of the things we're going to talk about tonight is new drone regulations coming. If you're getting a drone under the Christmas tree this year, it might not be all roses for you. Also, Leica's new camera. We might call it a good value. And your future photography predictions. 30 years from now, let's talk about what photography is going to look like.
That's
And
right.
I also want to say, I introduced myself as photographer and educator. I want to add graphic designer to my title now because of that awesome title screen that we have right now. Back to the
Wasn't
camera.
that awesome?
I'm actually proud that I only spent about 8 minutes on it. I think that was...
Only 8 minutes?
Only 8 minutes. I think that's a
Seems
reasonable amount of time for how it looks.
Yeah.
So, as those of you who may not know, today is Back to the Future Day. This is the day in Back to the Future, the end of the first one, I think, or one of the three movies, definitely not the third, one or two, where they come forward to the future, October 21st, 2015. And that's today.
Yep.
So
Do we
far,
have hoverboards? Not quite like the ones on the movie.
No.
We don't have flying cars either.
No. But we have some of those products have latched onto this. Pepsi is releasing that special Pepsi that you saw in the future. Nike has the self-tying shoes.
They do?
You can special order them. Mm-hmm.
Right.
I think they're cheaper than the Leica.
It's interesting to see what their priorities were back then. Like, oh man, in the future, I really hope we have self-tying shoes. Like, that would really save me a lot of time.
Or was it their priorities or what they decided? Well, yeah. I don't know. They also had the flying cars.
Anyway.
I mean, like really flying cars.
All the show notes are listed down below, so if you want to refer back to pretty much any story or lots of the things that we talk about, refer to the links in the show notes.
That's right. They're actually not there at this moment, but they will be if you're not watching live.
All right,
It takes a little
so
while.
let's get started. In case you missed it this week, we released quite a few videos.
Yeah, I was productive.
Yeah, you were.
You know, lost a little sleep, but most the two. Well, let's start with the controversial one. I put out a video that said the Sony A7R Mark II is not. I do not recommend it for weddings,
Yep.
and we're not going to rehash this whole thing.
Nope, just go watch it.
I did want that to be a slightly sweeping, kind of inflammatory statement to get people to come watch it and think about it. I love using the Sony at weddings, which might seem like a completely contradictory statement to what I just titled my video.
I don't love editing the files from it, but that's a whole
Yeah, we'll have
nother...
you talk about that at some point. But I think you also are developing a bias here that doesn't help you. But I would not recommend somebody walk into a wedding with this as their only camera or just two Sonys. You know, there are just a couple things, 4.5 actually, that I don't think make it the best wedding camera or one that I recommend.
Yep, so go watch that video. Before I forget, actually, we should have mentioned this in the intro, but we also have, after the live Q&A, we have an after show where we pick a discussion and we broadcast it when it's live. So if you're watching live, you'll get to see the after show. If you're not watching live, and if you're not a Patreon supporter, then you don't get to watch the after show. So you have to do one of those two things in order to be able to catch it. This week, and probably for a few number of weeks, we're going to do.
Suggestion.
Yeah, this was suggested by our Patreon supporter, Scott Faultley. I hope I'm pronouncing your last name correctly. To do a critique. So he submitted a photo, and we're going to critique it in the after show. So stay tuned for that. This is going to be at the end of the show. Okay,
That's
go
right.
on. To
Other, in case you missed it, well, I'll lump two different videos. One on the Nexus 6P. You know, they sent it to me, so I'll review it. It's very nice. It's a very nice phone. It's a very nice camera. But I have to say I'm really spoiled by the full manual control built into the LG V10 and the LG G4, which I also put out a review about the LG V10. And I'm very proud of the opening of that. Maybe I shouldn't have spent as much time on it as I did, because then I didn't sleep as much last night. But go watch those if you're interested in mobile photography. These are very serious tools for photo and video capture. And it's just really nice to be a tool that I already have in my pocket anyway. And also, you know, briefly, I haven't talked about this at all. They also sent me the Nexus 5X. These are just loaners. I have to send them back. If people have questions about these in the after show, which is a little looser and a little more open, I'll talk about them. The 5X is so light, but it feels so cheap.
Yeah. Did you already talk about fall photography tips?
No.
So also, the McKays were hanging out here in Vermont doing a fall photo tour. Go watch the vlog. You'll learn a few tips on how to capture fall color.
Yep.
And just see what we were up to that weekend, or what you were up doing, what the McKays were up to that weekend.
Yeah, you make a little cameo.
A little cameo.
It is a vlog, but it's packed full of way more tips than any of the other vlogs I've done before. And I shot with the T6S and the 50 and the 18 to 135, and so show using those. You could also title it How I Shoot, which is one of my older, more popular videos.
Yeah.
So.
And last but not least, just a reminder that this coming week, we're going to be in New York City, and on October 22nd at 7 p.m.
21st. Oh, no, today's
no.
the 21st. Oh, we wrote down the wrong date there. Okay, sorry.
So
22nd.
tomorrow, if you are in the New York City area, come hang out with us. We're going to meet on the corner of 10th Avenue and West 45th Street.
7 p.m.
At 7 p.m. Yeah, come hang out. We're excited about that.
We've had a couple people write. It'd be wonderful if you think you're going to come, to let us know. Shoot me an email, toby@photorec.tv,
Or
just so we
not.
can kind of get an idea. But you could also just show up.
Yep.
That's fine.
Alrighty.
As well.
So we're going to move on to our gear on the table, which is going to be a short segment today.
We don't really have any gear on the table, but I did want to remind people that one of the easiest and free ways to support what we do here is to shop for your own gear through our links. See how I tied that all together? Mm-hmm. Very proud of that.
So that would be through B&H or through Amazon.
That's right. And you don't need to come to me and say, oh, I'm about to buy X tripod. Can I get a link for it? You can just start at these generic links. They're going to be linked right there in the show notes. Anything at all that you want to buy from Amazon or B&H as we head into the holiday season, use those links, and I'll get a small percentage of the very small percentage of the cut. But of course, if you're saying, I don't know which tripod to get, then you should write me and we should talk about it. But if you know what you're getting, just click through the link. You don't need me at all.
Yeah, that's a
Thank you.
really easy way to support us.
Right.
So.
And there's others too. eBay, Adorama, one more too. Amazon International through this little thing works as well. So folks overseas, you should be able to shop your local Amazons as well.
Yep, and if you're looking for a link to be able to do that, the address to our website, it's on the bottom left corner of the screen. It's just photorec.tv. And
You're pointing too close to me.
And you have all of the links there. Yep. All right, let's move on to our news section. And first up, we have some new federal rules with regards to drones. Do you want to tell us a little bit more about that, Toby?
Yes, I do. Well, this is kind of a heads up. It's coming down the road. The U.S. has announced upcoming federal drone registry. That means that if you are a drone owner, you're going to need to register your drone. Probably going to be some kind of fee associated with that, and maybe some education that goes along with it as well. We really don't know at this point. We should know a lot more as we get closer to 2016 and oh, excuse me. And the full details of everything are supposed to come out in June 2016. The real question here, Christina, is this going to be everybody? If you happened to buy me like the DJI Inspire for Christmas, I mean, just let's say you bought that for me.
Not going to happen.
Which is, you kind of consider it a consumer or prosumer level drone.
Yeah.
Do I need to register that? Or are we talking about the people with the Octa drones using it for the Olympics or land surveying or serious professional stuff?
Well, I think it's even the...
We don't know.
Well, I read, did you read the article? Because it sounded to me like they are going to implement that for drones across it's unclear whether it's going to be like toy ones. I mean, the drones that we're talking about, the DJI and all of those, they're not toys. They're
toys.
professional equipment, and even the lower end ones, I would say. And I think those are the ones that have sort of been in question in the news from just like people who have been misusing them and using them improperly. And I think that's where this legislation is coming from. I think it's a really smart idea. I think, they're not requiring anybody to get any kind of license or anything. They're just like pilot's license, which is what had been discussed in the past.
There were some rumors of that.
Or there were some rumors of that. I think this is good because it forces people to be held accountable in the event that they do something stupid. And that's what they're trying to avoid. Just, it just takes like that one person to ruin it for everybody else.
Right. We've heard the thing of lots of pilots at different airports, talking about close encounters with drones. We're going to have little license plates on our drones flying around.
That would be adorable.
It says more than 1 million drones could be given as gifts this holiday season.
That's a lot of drones. You could just gift yourself a drone, You don't have to like...
Would you like a drone?
I don't
What if it has a license plate with a picture of kittens that says, "I break for kittens"?
Next story. If you were hoping to order the Sigma 20mm f1.4, it is now available for pre-order, so head on over to the B&H website to pre-order that.
That's right. I just want to mention that for a fact. I wasn't sure. They're kind of, I finally saw a shot of it the other day. It does have a bulbous front end. So no filters, no normal filters on there. You're going to have to buy a more expensive filter system if you want to use it for that. I have to imagine that this is not going to fly off the shelves. This is going to be a fairly niche market for this lens. It looks like it's going to be very good, but how many people need that when the 24 f1.4 is going to do a good job for them in most cases as well? All right.
Okay.
And I saw David. Sorry, I saw David in the chat room wonder if altitude is going to play a role in this whole drone registration. Because where do you draw the line? Like the little hand-sized one I can fly around in my house. Am I going to have to register that? So this is I lean liberal, but at the same time, I certainly don't want the government coming in and unnecessarily regulating something to a ridiculous level. It's going to be tricky. So we'll see about the drones. I just wanted to try to throw you off of your timer.
Sure. Well, actually, people in the chat are making valid points about this discussion. Somebody said, Tony Lawrence said that he doesn't think that a license will stop people from doing stupid things. True. That is very true, but at the same time, it is much easier to actually be held accountable for. So if somebody with a license, who has a licensed drone, gets caught doing something stupid, they're more likely to face consequences for it, and thus it's deterring the behavior. People are still going to do stupid things, but I think, obviously there's no like perfect solution for it, but I think this is a good step.
Right.
All right, moving on. Leica has announced a brand new mirrorless digital camera,
They
the
did.
Leica SL.
Which I teased at the beginning and said might be a good value. I have to say, usually when we look at these red dot cameras, I really am not interested in them. Now, I shouldn't say that because I've never shot with one. I've never taken time to shoot and look at the files. They feel like when you look at the specs and compare it to something else, it really doesn't offer that much more for the price that they ask. And this is certainly expensive, but it has some really nice features. This looks like a serious camera, and spec-wise, might be priced reasonably. Might be. It's a 24 megapixel full frame. It's going to do 4K video with Vlog and L gamma. Sorry. So this is a professional level video tool along with photography. Gorgeous 8.8x magnification electronic viewfinder and the backlit touchscreen. Contrast 11 frames per second, ISO 50,000, 2 SD card slots, weather resistant milled aluminum body, built-in Wi-Fi connectivity, and GPS. Actually, I'm not convinced GPS is built in. I believe it's through the connection of Wi-Fi to a smartphone app. Correct me if I'm wrong on that. So, to me, this looks like the A7R,
But better.
but better in some ways.
Because it has a touch
screen.
LCD.
Yep.
It's got two what?
Now I want you to guess. Come on, guess. 2 what? 2 SD card slots.
Oh, that's
which,
right.
For
yes.
some people.
Yes.
Now, I said specifically in my video or in my blog post about the A7R that is not a deal breaker for me. It was something I was concerned about, but I have actually pulled a card out of there just not paying attention while it was trying to write to it.
I'm not worried about that. I'm not worried about the camera corrupting files.
Mm-hmm.
I'm worried about the card becoming corrupt, which has nothing to do with the camera and you not having a backup. That's
Right.
the issue. If
Right.
you're shooting a wedding, you're capturing things that are once in a lifetime events. You should be able to have a backup.
Right. I think that it's less likely, well, I can't make that statement. I was going to say it's less likely for the cards to go bad in the Sony. That's not true. But
I know.
I feel like it's, that there is that option, there is that chance, but with the card recovery software, we have always had success in recovering anything off of them. So, that issue is less to me, but it certainly is nice. It is more peace of mind if you got 2 SD card slots, 11 frames a second, serious body. Downside,
Price?
price, and price of lenses.
Oh, right, because
Right.
the body only is
Right. Let's come down here. So,
$7,450.
that's right. The Leica, are we on my screen so people can see this beautiful thing?
No.
Okay.
I kind of want it,
Yeah,
I will say.
you kind of want it.
I kind of really want
Well,
it.
This or Tesla. The other day, Christina told me the only thing she wants to splurge on in life is Tesla. So, which I think they're pretty awesome cars, especially the ones that are driving themselves now. Sure, they're not flying, but driving themselves. Okay. So you put it on my screen, honey? I'm sorry.
Yes,
okay.
it is.
All right, so that was the body, and now here's the lens, the Leica Vario. This is one of them. 24 to 90, f2.8 to 4. Lovely range there. It does, variable aperture, but not bad. $5,000. So together,
you're talking about $12,000
Yes.
right off the bat.
right.
Which is
Way more than my car
unbelievable.
parked out there is worth.
Oh my God, yeah. Yeah. That's a serious
Actually,
investment.
Right. We own several lenses that are worth more than my car. That's saying more about the car than the lenses.
Yeah, it really
So,
is.
I think my bicycle is worth more than my car now.
No, it's not. Maybe. Maybe. Okay.
All right, so that looks beautiful, and I hope to get one in to review and talk about it a little bit more knowledgibly.
I would love.
when it comes out.
I would love to
Okay.
try one out. Okay. Canon has demoed a 250 megapixel. Yeah.
Okay.
Has demoed a 250 megapixel sensor and a new feature called turbulence removal. So there's a video that you should definitely go watch and just to see how this works. But basically, super high resolution sensor, and I don't know if I'm sure that a lot of you have experienced this. You're photographing a scene and maybe it's the middle of the day, or you have a zoom lens on and there's this kind of like
Heat
movement,
waves, mirage.
yeah, in the atmosphere, if you will.
Atmospheric distortion.
Right, exactly. There's atmospheric distortion, and it happens more so if you are shooting with a really long focal length. I've seen it happen at 200 millimeters. I'm sure it happens.
It happens a lot in safaris, African safaris.
Yeah.
You get the heat.
So this new tool is supposed to reduce that, and I guess I don't see it being an issue when you're taking pictures, but maybe if you're taking video, this would be really helpful because it minimizes.
Pictures too?
Really, I've never actually seen any distortion from that.
Have you gone on any African safaris and shot longer at 600 millimeters?
No, I haven't.
Okay. That's what I would say.
All right.
So this reminds me a lot of the.
But you have though, right?
No.
Okay.
But I just know. This reminds me a lot of those shows where they like take a crummy picture of some detective shows. They take a crummy picture of someone and then they're analyzing it and they're like, zoom in on the right quadrant, magnify. And I think there's actually like some parody video of it somewhere. Where they take this incredibly little grainy thing and blow it up and they can read the license plate perfectly and they're like, we got our guy. But you should watch this video. It's pretty cool, and you should also keep this in mind for our discussion in 15, 20 minutes, whatever Christina's timer says. Like, we're going to pay attention to that.
We are paying attention to it. I will give you the wrap-up signal in exactly 4 minutes, so better talk fast.
Keep this in mind, though, because technology like this built into the devices we're going to be using. Certainly. So this is pretty cool. And also, I think, when Canon announced this 250 megapixel sensor, I was like, I kind of posted on Facebook. I was like, whatever, it's not something we're going to really see anytime soon. And that's true, but it's still, it's neat to see this technology, and we will see it at some point in the future. Probably not too distant. Just wouldn't, expect this to be in the 5D Mark IV.
Okay, so Fujifilm has unveiled a weather-resistant 35mm f2 and a 1.4 teleconverter. I believe the 35mm, if you're a Fuji shooter, is around $450, and the teleconverter is how much? It's at the very bottom of the post. It is $450.
Yep.
And
the 35 is $400.
It's $400, so pretty affordable.
Yep. These are reasonably priced, weather resistant. The 35 looks quite nice. The style looks lovely to match the kind of the Fuji style.
Yeah.
These look like really nice lenses, and it's nice to see Fuji expanding their lineup of lenses, which I think is exactly the same thing I said last week when we talked about these coming.
Yep. Canon has patented a loop viewfinder that flips over the LCD screen. Once you have that page, I'll go ahead and switch. Yeah, so this is kind of interesting and weird, and I don't know how I feel about it. So the idea is that it should lower the cost of these mirrorless cameras while still giving you an optical viewfinder. Not an optical.
Viewfinder.
A viewfinder. So it would be a digital viewfinder, but you would have a viewfinder for bright conditions when it's hard to see the LCD. But it's supposed to sort of repurpose the LCD through the loop and give you, I don't know what kind of quality. LCD technology is improving. Not in the Sony. I hate the LCD on the back of the Sony. It's
Pile it on,
terrible.
Poor Sony. Poor Sony. Don't listen to her. I'm talking to the Sony that's recording us.
But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess we'll have to see, once they actually build cameras that have this feature, what they actually look like.
Let me just ask you, Sony Canon, last week at that wedding, I've got pictures of you laying flat out in the grass to try to get the angle you wanted.
I am not.
Me, I could just flip my little LCD screen that you hate, and I could see exactly what I wanted without getting down in the grass and getting all dirty.
Okay, that is not a feature that only the Sony has. I could have a Nikon camera that has the same feature.
That's true.
That is much more user-friendly.
But you don't have a full-frame Canon that does.
Oh, no, I don't. You're right. Maybe we will at some point. Who knows? That still isn't
Okay.
a
All right,
very
so
redeeming quality.
this looks interesting. It's one of those things where you wonder if Canon had just thrown patents, through the doorway to get it patented, and then we'll maybe never see this, or maybe we will. The idea is when you flip it down, the LCD screen, you respond. Okay. I was thinking about how much I love the Sony.
Okay, so moving on. YouTube has announced a new subscription program that you can sign up for that allows you to watch YouTube videos.
You will be able to sign up for.
Yeah, that will allow you to watch videos ad-free. So that's new. And do you have any opinions about that?
Well, there's more.
Go ahead.
Gotta sell it. Well, first, I'm curious for you all who clearly are YouTube watchers. If you're interested, $9.99 a month is going to remove all ads from all of the videos. It also is going to get you access to some premium content or some original content. It's not clear to me if no one else is going to have access to that or not. It also gets you access to the Google Music subscription service through YouTube when they're releasing a new app soon as well. And you'll be able to download videos for offline viewing. I know Scott was asking about not always having time to sit in front of his computer to watch all of this show and ways to download it, which if you don't care about the video, you just like the audio, reminder that we're on Stitcher and iTunes, and links will be right down below. The show notes will take you to where you can subscribe via iTunes and Stitcher, and you're welcome to leave us a rating on iTunes or feedback if you'd like as well. So all of those perks come with this $9.99. From a creator side, I think it's good. I don't exactly know what it will mean for me as a creator. I get it. Part of the way I make a living is earning from those videos that run in front of many of my videos, those advertisements that run in front of many of my videos. So I don't quite know how that will balance and work out, but I'm excited because I feel like this makes YouTube more and more legitimate. The growth of YouTube is amazing. So we'll see.
Yep. Okay, and because we are running out of time on our news section, we're going to talk about these next two stories very, very briefly. I'm going to skip around to the Lensbaby one because I'm already talking. Lensbaby has announced a new Composer Pro and a new lens called the Edge 50, which I guess is similar to the Edge 80, except for it is a 50mm lens. I am not super excited about any of this. I haven't actually used a Lensbaby, but I have heard that it's just not that great quality. So, yeah, I mean, for the price, I don't think that they're something that I really want to invest in or really use that much. I'd rather use my current lenses and just try some freelancing, though that's a little bit
Well, tell us
riskier.
what freelancing is. Because, basically these make freelancing easy, right? Or easier?
I guess easier.
In some ways.
So freelancing essentially is just taking your lens off of your camera and then holding it at, at a slight distance to kind of create a tilt shift effect. And that's essentially what these Lensbabies do, is they create tilt shift effects. They allow you to focus on one small part and you can, pretty easily control that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Yeah, they're not, I think if you feel like you're in a rut, they could kind of help you. They create some interesting effects. They're neat, but I've never used them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mitakon released a very fast f1.4 135mm lens. I want to know more about that. Did you? I didn't really read that story, but that sounds very...
Yeah, I guess you didn't read much of the story because this is a collector's item. They're going to make 100 of them. It's $4,000. And think about this for a second. 135mm f1.4.
Yeah, I know.
So what would you walk around shooting a wedding, when you want, because there's a lot of time we use, 70 to 200 is on our camera a lot, and we probably are in that range of 135 fairly often.
Yeah, and
you be shooting at f1.4?
I use the 85 one too when I'm not using, I get a couple of key shots with the 70-200, but then I mostly switch to the 85, especially if I'm in a church or something, because I like the look of that, and then I like that it lets in more light. So yeah, I would.
And are you shooting at 1.2 with the 85?
I'm not shooting at 1.2. So, but it gives you the ability to do that if you need to.
Right. Yes.
So, which is, that's
Right?
Yeah. Does everybody walk around shooting at the maximum aperture of their lenses all the time? No. But
No, I know.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, somebody in the chat room, go to the depth of field calculator, which is a great website. Put in 135 f1.4 on a, let's say, full frame camera, and let's say a distance of 20 feet. What will your depth of field be? I'm curious. So somebody put that in there, and we'll check back in a little bit.
Yep. All of these links and links to the news stories that we discussed, plus others that didn't make it into the show, are linked down in the show notes down below. So go check them out.
I'm just going to read a couple of headlines of extra news articles that are going to be linked in the show notes.
Okay,
Petapixel has
10
a
seconds.
great post on functional camera costumes. Love it. Go check that out. Last week, we talked about the rumor of SanDisk shopping around for buyers. They found one. Western Digital has bought SanDisk for $19 billion, or will be. 500 pics. Oh, and that Chinese mess. They're apologizing, shutting it all down until they get it working again. Honestly, I was never that enraged, but I also don't sell my work on 500 pics. I want as many people as possible to see it, so I was totally fine with them showing it all over the world. But if you sold your work there, apparently it was really easy for it to be stolen, so not good. Now, last thing I get more than 10 seconds on is the latest rumors on the Canon 1DX Mark II, availability in 2016, April-ish. This might mean, they're now saying, Canon rumors being them, the 5D Mark IV wouldn't be pushed or released until September at Photokina. You prepared to wait, or are you going to get cozy with a Sony?
No, I'm going to wait. Or check out Nikon. But I'm not.
Did you roll your eyes?
No. Okay.
There was a discussion in the support group prior about how often you roll your eyes.
Yeah, I'm about to roll my eyes at you
I
if you
think we should
don't wrap it up.
I think we should make it a drinking game. All right, so
if you're at home,
it's just really hard to believe that 5D Mark IV is September. That's so far away.
Yeah, that's actually
another full year. Again,
that's really disappointing.
But it's a fantastic camera. It makes fantastic images. The T6S makes fantastic images. Yeah. So, again, we get all caught up in like the rumors and the excitement of this coming out. But please don't think you need that camera.
Right.
It would be nice to see this one company being on level with the other companies.
Yeah, and I need a new camera because my cameras are they're still functioning, but I need to send them for repair or just maintenance. And anyway, I would like a new camera.
100 million people a month are now using Google Photos. Just put that number out there for you.
Okay, and our photo from space.
Photos from space.
We don't have time
Should
for
it be from or in space? Where you got somewhere to go tonight?
No, I'm trying to keep it tight so that people don't lose interest and leave us because we're rambling on too much.
All right. Scott Kelly has become the U.S. astronaut to spend the most time living in space, and he's got his own Instagram account. Maybe we can look at that for a moment. It's pretty awesome to have an astronaut with an Instagram account. His latest picture, he's got 385,000. I need to follow him. I'm going to click that button. 385,000 followers. Nice job, Scott. And his latest one is San Francisco. You can see a little glimpse of the Golden Gate, bottom left, the Bay Bridge, top right, or middle actually, I guess. And it's just really neat the way the landscape plays there. So he doesn't post what he shot that with. Does the article go into that? I don't know. I know, or at least in the past, they've been pretty heavy Nikon users. And, probably because they have the little articulating screen. But nope, doesn't say anything in this article. I think they're mostly still shooting Nikon. There was a really cool picture a year or two ago of a bunch of gigantic lenses all Velcroed up to the side of the kind of habitat where they have that big, beautiful porthole that they do a lot of the shooting out of. So, pretty cool. Pretty cool.
Okay. So just a reminder that if you are watching this and you're enjoying it, give us a thumbs up. That helps tell other people that this is an interesting show. And if you have a question or a comment, remember, and you're watching on live right now and you're on the chat, be sure to leave a comment as well, because all the chat comments, all the chat banter goes away, and only the comments are left for everyone to see. Okay, and with that, we move on to our Instagram challenge. We are going to announce the winners, and remember that this week, our winners receive like stuff. Like stuff. You actually get stuff.
They'll pick, and we'll have to figure out how to do that because hopefully they won't both pick the same thing. But if they do,
we'll figure it out.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. So just the winners, not the honorable mentions?
I'll leave it up to you, Toby.
Okay, we'll do just the winners, and we'll do this again next week. We'll have stuff to give away next week as well then. That sounds wonderful. Great pile of images.
Yes.
Beautiful, lovely,
this week
really, really nice.
Was fall color, so
That's
you
right.
all submitted all your fall color pictures. So do you want to go ahead and tell us your winner or your honorable mention?
I'm going to start with my honorable mention, build up the drama and the tension a little bit, and try to make you roll your eyes by pausing.
I can't roll my eyes because
dramatically.
We're on your screen.
Oh, you're rolling your eyes. Okay. All right. First honorable mention is James's photo here. There were a handful of really nice backlit leaves. I always look for this kind of shot myself when I'm out shooting and the leaves look nice. James has just hit a lot of nice points for me and I just really liked it. Nice shot, James. Thank you. We got my next honorable mention, Lil Ruthie.
That's cool.
This is one of those things, it's kind of a macro shot, but not really. You can tell within a few seconds your brain says, oh yeah, it's a pumpkin. But the way that stem looks kind of reminds me of the Devil's Tower. So it's taking this everyday or everyday Halloween-y pumpkin and showcasing it in a slightly different way.
Yeah.
And I just really like that. Nice work. And my winner is I don't remember.
That's a cool picture.
Jay Stearns 77, who's I think been around for a while. You've been around for a while, Jay Stearns?
Been a follower
for a while. Again, when I go through these pictures, I usually look at the thumbnails and I like nice picture, and then I go ooh. I'll get an audible ooh, and this one did it for me. The light rays coming through, and then you see that, and my eyes just kind of follow down the image and hit that red leaf, which I'm pretty sure you put there totally fine, and that. It's just a nice composition. I really like it.
Yep. All right.
All right. Are we back on us? Because I'm not sure who you... Oh, and Roy told me that picture of the Hill Valley there, that San Francisco, is because of Back to the Future happened somewhere around there. Just gave away that I'm not a real fan of Back to the Future. I mean, I do like it. I just didn't know exactly where it happened.
Okay. So my honorable mention for this week is... by Lavender Peaks, or one of my two. And I just really liked the composition and the scene, and you get a little bit of fall color. You have these evergreens, which aren't ever gonna turn color, but in the grass, you really see a ton of fall color. And I really like mountain views and like fog, and this was just composed and photographed really well, so well done.
Well done.
And then this is by 5 Axis. This doesn't have any fall color at all in the traditional sense, but last week I made sure to say that even if you don't have any fall color, that we'll be looking at other things. I just think that this is a spectacular sunset over New York. Is it New York City?
No, Chicago.
Over Chicago. It's just beautiful. And I think it was taken in the fall. So that counts. Yeah. It was just a great shot.
I think you're encouraging people to ignore the challenge submitting whatever they want.
No, if they watch the podcast, well, they can't submit. I'm not just going to pick whatever. So if they submit whatever they want, they can do that. That doesn't mean they're going to win.
But they think they might now because you picked this one that doesn't have fall colors.
No, I specifically said last week that even if you live in a place that doesn't have fall color, that you can...
Okay.
Upload your interpretation of it.
Can I click on your winner?
Yes, you can.
And your winner.
And again, if you've watched this show before, you know that I'm a sucker for symmetry, and this is a perfect example of that. Plus fall color, plus like just really, really, really cool I don't know. There's a lot of elements, but it doesn't feel busy to me, and there's a lot of texture, and it's really nice. And this is by
Kettering.
Okay. Yeah.
You want me to pronounce the location? The first hashtag?
Sure.
Bujungenfjord.
Okay.
All right,
Really
it's a
cool
beautiful
place.
photo. It's a beautiful photo. So Jay Stern, Kettering, back to us.
And then who else?
No, that was the...
And your winner? So
yeah.
my winner and your winner?
Yeah, my winner and your winner. Yep, we all got that. Shoot us an email, toby@photorec.tv. You got a couple different things you could choose from. We have these really nice Fusion photo plates. These are Arca Swiss style compatible tripod plate that has a little flip out bracket so you can hook in a black rapid strap or some other strap if you want it as well. I do have two of those. I only have one on the table, but I do have this. You're both gentlemen, so you probably don't want this, but we have the Kick Black Rapid, optimized for women photographers.
The way that it's optimized, though, isn't really...
Oh yeah, we do another photo plate.
It's just marketing. It's not really important. But anyway, you can pick whatever you want.
We have an Adobe Photoshop keyboard cover made for the ultra-thin Mac keyboard with numpad. And we got some other keyboard covers too. We got one for Final Cut. We just have a nice blue one, a nice pink one, a nice one for Adobe Lightroom. I actually kind of wanted to keep that. You have one Lightroom I can take from you? And a Photoshop one as well.
Yep, so send us an email and then you can pick...
Yeah, whoever emails first.
Yeah.
We'll do it. And Christina, can you now tell us, keeping the show rolling along on an efficient manner, what is our topic next week? Because Roy and I had something wonderful picked out, and then I saw the rundown was something different.
What? No. You're always trying to single me out.
We were going to do spooky. But if
That's
not,
what you were... I never saw Spooky.
well, we were chatting about it.
Oh, okay.
But you've done something else.
You know, you can do whatever you want. I was going to try to make it helpful and informative. And,
Let's go with helpful and
okay.
informative.
So that was the graphic I made, so we're just going with that no matter what. But next week, the topic is tangents. So hashtag your photos, PRTV_tangents. And if you don't know what tangents are, I'm going to briefly talk about it right now. So tangents, so one example that I think will help all of you, you need to be mindful of tangents in order to create good compositions in your images. One really easy way to think of tangents is like when you're photographing somebody or something, let's say somebody for this example's sake, and you have a tree coming out of their head. That is a tangent that you should have avoided. So you should have shifted your composition in such a way that the subject was clearly spaced from the tree so that there are no tangents connecting them and there is separation from the two. There is an article linked in the show notes that that actually you should open so that I can go over to screen and, hi Liam, and we can go over these briefly. And you should definitely go see this when you are thinking of your Instagram challenge. So there are several different tangents to avoid, and they give you specific examples. So, you know, we've talked about lots of these in the past. So if you have a distinct shape and a corner of an image, you want to make sure that you make it less visible, take it out altogether, soften it up so that it doesn't become a distraction. Cutting off people or shapes in halves in ways that don't make any sense. Subjects and objects in the frame, elements in the frame touching when it doesn't make any sense. So there should be separation between them in order to create space to create a stronger composition. So you should go to this website. Again, the link is down below. Review these. I imagine that probably not going to get many submissions because you might have to do a little bit of homework. But maybe I'm just making...
Challenge them, Christina. Challenge them.
Using reverse psychology on this. But you will get to win something next week again. So maybe that's a little bit of encouragement.
Okay.
So again, PRTV Tangent_tangents, and hello, Liam.
Hey.
You have joined us.
Are you really clear about it? PRV_tangents with an S?
Yeah.
Because we had that little snafu.
It wasn't really a snap.
Liam seems to be, what kind of tangent is Liam creating right now?
Oh, he's creating all kinds of tangents right now.
And fur.
And if you
Thank
want to
Liam.
follow us on Instagram, our usernames are down below. Mine is just my name, Christina Brunellis.
And mine is Photorec Toby.
Yep.
And speaking of following us, I figured out Snapchat this week.
Good for you.
And my name is the same, Photorec Toby. So I really don't know what I'm going to do with it. I don't think I'm going to use it very often, but if you're desperate for more Photorec Tobiness, you can check it out. Going back to the question of what is your depth of field with a 135mm lens on a full frame camera at 20 feet f1.4? Should have said that different. 6 inches.
That's not a lot.
Nope. It's enough to get
It's
somebody's
a face.
nose to ears.
Yeah.
Nose to ears, unless they have a really, like, horse face. Well, no, I mean like a real horse face, not like a person who's horse-faced.
That's what you implied.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to take us off on that tangent.
Okay. We are going to move on to our discussion for today. So we're talking about Back to the Future, and let's just briefly think about what the camera situation was 30 years ago.
30 years ago.
So do you want to talk a little bit about some of the cameras that were available?
Just real quick, you know, I poured over the internet this morning researching this, and sorry, Christina just put the timer in front of me. So subtle and not distracting at all. We've got the T80 here, Canon's first autofocus 35mm lens, single lens reflex camera, introduced in April of '85. Discontinued in June of '86. But here we go. 30 years ago, we were looking at our first 35mm autofocus lens. Or, God, I keep saying that. Autofocus camera. Pretty cool stuff. Interestingly, though, you can flop over, we'll have the links in the show notes, to Digicam history and see a little bit more about some of the electronic stuff going on. We had a couple of like 400K cameras that they were just starting to develop. Here, shown at Photokina in 1984, had a 2/3 inch CCD and a 9 to 27mm f1.2 lens. But you can see that it is a big device, and I believe it saved this to, you know, tape. This one saved to floppy disk. So autofocus, pretty. Oh, and the reason why that Canon was discontinued was they only allowed it to be used with a new Canon lens mount I'd never heard of before, the AC mount. You could use FD lenses on it, which was Canon's older mount, but they would not autofocus. They'd be manual focus only. And this was contrast detection autofocus, which we still use today. So, and then what was the other stack? Was it like a 0.7 frames per second? I think it would shoot 0.7 frames per second as well. Somewhere I read that in my deep internet searching. So that's where we were 30 years ago. Well, that's actually just a little glimpse of where we were 30 years ago. But we had some posts over on Facebook. I said, what are we going to have in another 30 years? And I like the people included links, like Joe, who linked to this discussion about opening up the spectrum that the camera is able to capture. And we have this picture right here of it can capture a hand with all of the detailed skin patterns that we don't normally see. Now, my first thought is, well, I had two thoughts with this. One,
so incredible detail, or
they could incorporate this into the camera technology and then use that to do some automatic post-processing. You know, because we have these cameras that have the front-facing cameras on these LGs have that automatic skin smoothing. Every once in a while I'll bump it by accident, and it's pretty creepy because it smooths your skin out ridiculous, and I think it even makes your eyes a little bigger maybe. So how about a real one that really details, looks at your skin and decides that's a blemish, I'm going to remove it, and so there's no post-processing involved. Just when you take the picture, it fixes some of these issues. I'm not saying we need that or we want that, but it could use that. The other way I thought this was interesting, not really camera tech, is how about my computer logs me in when it recognizes my hands at the keyboard? Because it says that on this hand skin pattern, is completely unique to each individual, like a fingerprint. So no fingerprint readers or anything. I just put my hands up to the keyboard and the camera, and the computer says, hey, that's Toby.
Aside from that being something that has a very specific use, is it something that we'll see in cameras that are at the consumer level? You know, like the cameras that, you know, it's interesting, but does it really have any use? I mean, maybe it will. Maybe we just don't know it yet.
Yeah.
Maybe that will be the rage in wedding photography in 30 years.
What do you think will be the rage in wedding photography? All right, but let's go back to this because you gave me such a short timer here. We got Brandon thinks gigapixel sensors and compact bodies with removable petabyte storage. I have a couple things about, Gareth, zoom lenses that are just as good as primes. But Gareth, if primes keep increasing in quality, will zoom lenses be able to catch up and be at the same level, or will primes always be a little step ahead? Are we on us right now?
Yeah.
Okay. Holographic images that you can feel and smell.
Talk about bringing you back.
That's right. Images will be stored somewhere on a server, not locally on a tiny card inside the camera. You click, they'll be uploaded to a safe place instantly. Within 30 years, we should have blanket connectivity to all of our devices. I think so. You take a picture, it's instantly on your fridge. We went to Jeff's house that other day, whose fridge you could read Twitter. You couldn't tweet from it, but you could read your Twitter on
useless.
The fridge.
Totally useless.
I see lots of use. I see that.
Nogi in the chat just said, in 30 years, cameras will have to blend empty landscapes since there won't be any left.
Oh, that's depressing.
That's really sad.
I'll bring out my standard statement that cameras will basically be video and pulling individual frames out. 30 years, come on.
I just don't feel like...
You'll be like Google Canon. That's Google and Canon merged together. It'll be like, show me the best smiley pictures. Because, look, so we just 30 years ago with the very first autofocus, struggling to get autofocus. And now we have a camera like the Sony, which can recognize when somebody is smiling, can recognize a face, can recognize a certain face from other faces. I mean, that's pretty cool technology. 30 years from now, whew.
Well, yeah, I mean, so for categorizing like family pictures and taking pictures of like really fast kids, you know, I find that useful, but for somebody who is, I don't know. I just like, you know, if you're doing a portrait session of somebody, I don't think that's going to be useful. You're going to end up with so many pictures that's going to like double, triple your time to call. And you're trying to maximize efficiency here so that you don't spend hours and hours working in post-production. It's not going to be a useful tool.
Adobe Yahoo, that's Adobe and Yahoo, they've merged in 30 years. And you'll just be like, Adobe, pull out the 6 best pictures pull out the 6 best pictures from the shoot. And it'll be like, here you go. But it actually will take like 10 minutes because Adobe is so bloated by that point. So bloated now. We didn't talk more about that, but Adobe has apologized, said they're going to roll back to the old import method. But man, we got a ton of people in my Lightroom support group that are complaining about performance. It's certainly not speedy. I don't have any major issues, but it certainly feels slow, and it needs to be faster. That's all I'll say about that. Last point I want to make, Rogers, we're going to end on a good one here. Lytro technology, being able to refocus images after they've taken. And he's also wondering if LiDAR might find its way into camera. This would allow such things as 3D photography. LiDAR is that kind of laser radar where you've got the little laser beams going out. It's how some of these self-driving cars can see the road, bouncing off things and being able to tell. 30 years, I hope we're taking some 3D pictures. I hope so.
That's interesting.
30 years is a long time.
It is a long
I'm
time.
gonna be old man. Like, did you hear about the Canon 5D Mark? What will we be up to? Let's take it to Canon 7D Mark 15. It's got LiDAR, but it's not coming out till next year. I want it this year. I might be dead next year. We should have saved that for the after show. Just lost half our audience. What's next? What's next? I just embarrassed myself. I think it's time for questions.
It is time for questions, and we were under the time. Good job. Oops.
I thought you said I had 5 minutes.
No, you're 10. That's what I did.
Oh.
Yeah.
I only saw one hand.
Sorry, that's not my fault.
We're going to question number 2 first. When is the 80D coming? Have not heard a peep. Now, I don't feel like it's late or not. You know, we're sometime next year. I would expect that it comes. Fall probably would be fine. Maybe spring. You know, that's at that level where we don't talk a whole lot about it. Not us, but the rumor mill and stuff. Because it's mostly consumer oriented, and it's the professionals that get all up and about the bigger level cameras. So, you know, that level camera comes out about every 2 years. Sometimes it's a little bit less. Usually it's a little bit more, I think. I can't remember. I have to go back and look at the list when the 60D. The 60D to 70D was a pretty big gap. So 70D to 80D will be an interesting gap as well. The one that I'm, you know, the prosumer-ish full frame 6D. Where's the 6D Mark II? Nothing about that.
Where's the 5D Mark IV, Canon?
We've already talked about it.
You're killing me.
You already talked about it.
You're killing me.
You talked about it. Just be quiet. Maybe Sony's paying. Look, people. Somebody on my reasons why you shouldn't get a Sony was like, you're paid by Sony. I can't tell they're joking. I can't tell they're joking. I think they partly are grumpy because we've been talking about it a lot. I'll take a little break from talking about the Sony, but maybe Sony is paying Canon not to release the 5D Mark III.
That's like a
until
weird
Canon gets bought by
model.
Google, and then
That's a really weird business model.
So the 6D Mark II, where's that? That should be here. That should be here. Yeah. And it needs to have an articulating screen. It's got to be on level with the D750. That would be really nice on the Nikon side.
James Yan says, I bought a U70-200 f2 version 1, and on my 7DD it seemed great. Then I bought a used 5D Mark II, and it seems very soft and a lot of noise, even at ISO 100 and fast shutter. How do I test to see the problem? So, second point you made, the noise doesn't have to do with the lens at all. It has to do with the camera itself. So you need to make sure that your exposure is bright. So if you're shooting at 100 ISO and you have a dark exposure, you're gonna get noise. No matter, even if you're shooting
with a full frame camera.
Even with a full frame camera. Okay, on point 1, you probably need to do some micro adjustments for the 780-200 on your 5D Mark II. It's possible that it's either front or back focusing, so you need to do calibrations. So try those things.
Yep. A couple things. One, James, I remember you posting, you know, you've talked to us before, you're a bit of a pixel peeper. So that's dangerous because there is a feeling of, I bought a full frame, it should be noise-free at all ISOs and all.
No.
It's not going to be, especially if you're zooming into 100%. We have images that we take and deliver to clients with our 5D Mark IIIs that are extremely noisy.
I wouldn't say extremely, but...
If at 100%?
I'd say oh yeah, at 100%, yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if you're looking at a normal size. Now, the softness issue, try manually focusing. You know, zoom in, use live view, zoom in and manually focus, take some shots, see what it looks like, and then do the autofocus. Is there a difference? If there is, then it's a back front focusing issue. If there's not, then maybe the lens is just not great. But you said it looks good on the 70D, so...
Yeah. Okay, David Wang wants to know, does Leica offer something more comparable to other cameras at the same price point? The answer is not really. You can find something used for a little bit cheaper, but Leica's just expensive. They're a luxury brand, and that's what they're priced at. So
was it the Leica or Hasselblad that was in that store in Paris that we went to?
Leica.
Leica.
Yeah.
We went in this, you know, on our little mini vacation, we went into that big shopping Lafayette gallery, the Galleries of Lafayette, which is like a giant Macy's to me as an American. But it had all these little sections inside, and they had a little Leica section. It was very fancy, very shishi-like. Yeah, you know, I've just pulled up Leica on B&H. You know, I've never really spent a lot of time paying attention to them because they just, like I said, my car is, they're just not very practical to me. They take beautiful images, but the cheapest body I'm seeing on here right now is $4,000. So that means this new one coming out, yeah, we could call it a good value.
Roger Hunt wants to know, so what audience is Leica targeting? Leica owners? Yeah, basically, people who would buy a Leica. So, you know, they're just offering mirrorless options now. So probably a little bit more compact, just a new toy to have. Yeah.
Yeah. You know, the thing we forget from time to time is that there are very wealthy people out there. There are a lot of very wealthy people out there. And they like to have nice things. And a Leica camera like this, you know, has that look to it. What's that like? I want to say aura, but, you know.
Aura?
Like the prestige.
It's status.
With status.
It's
okay,
status.
Sure.
Right.
Status.
That's why it's a luxury product.
Luxury.
Yeah.
Okay.
Shane O'Sullivan wants to know, please talk about the Elinchrom Skyport trigger with high sync for strobes. Very exciting. That is really exciting, actually. I just learned about that recently also. And
Well, they just announced it.
so we're in the works of doing a tutorial type video thing. We're not going to be using the Elinchrom Skyports. We're going to be using pro photo gear, but I would like to have that in for review because that is, for me in particular, because I like to...
What's exciting? Tell us more.
So typically when you shoot with either a strobe or a speed light, you can't sync past the maximum sync speed of your camera without, you know, using a ton of power. So for example, for Canon, I believe the maximum sync speed for most cameras is 1/200th of a second. I believe for Nikon is 250th of a second. So that means that when you're shooting with those cameras, you cannot shoot at any faster shutter speeds when you're using either a speed light or a strobe, because they cannot. The shutter isn't, or the burst of light coming from the strobe isn't fast enough to be able to enter while the shutter is open, you know, above 1/200th of a second or 1/250th of a second. It's complicated, but anyway, we'll just say that for now. So this trigger allows you to power an off-camera strobe and sync it at faster than the maximum sync speed.
Yeah, they got an example here of 1/4000th of a second.
Right. So the issue when you're unable to sync at faster sync speeds is that when you're shooting at 1/200th of a second, your aperture has to be pretty high in order for you not to blow out the image. So if you're trying to overpower the sun, if you're shooting in pretty bright conditions, your aperture has to be pretty high.
Small.
Pretty small, right? So the number has to be high, the opening is small to cut down on the light. So you can't get a shallow depth of field. You sometimes, if you're shooting in really sunny conditions, you know, you have to use a neutral density filter. You know, so you have to do some workarounds. But if you're able to sync at something that's faster than 1/200th or 1/250th of a second, then you can, you know, take advantage of those things. So this is really exciting. You know, our friend Steve that we talk about from time to time, he lights a lot of his portraits and he uses ProPhoto. He used to use Elinchrom, but now he uses ProPhoto. So I haven't had any experience or have worked with him. Well, he hasn't used Elinchrom lighting in a while. Yeah, but I would love to get that in and do a review of that pretty soon. And I just talked for a long time.
That's good. No, that's good. Sometimes I think people think you're just here because, you know, you're pretty and you're good at keeping the show on task, but you know stuff.
I do know stuff.
Yeah, you do. Do you think there's a catch? Is there any catch to this, or, you know?
I think that probably, you know, the batteries need to be bigger, because I think that when you're syncing at higher shutter speed, the flash has to work more.
Yeah.
That would be my guess.
Okay.
Nogi wants to know, have we ever been at Photokina? No, but we really want to go.
Photo Plus Expo that we're going to this week is our first real big photo conference.
Yeah.
So we're excited.
And we're going to do a lot of coverage, so stay tuned. You know, if you
follow me on Snapchat.
Follow him on Snapchat, follow him on Periscope.
Yeah, we might do Periscope.
And we'll definitely have some videos up for you guys.
They sent me Google Fi, a free month of Google Fi. I'm going to Periscope the crap out of it. I don't know how much data that comes with.
Eugene Cartwright wants to know, he's about to head to Hawaii in a month. I am very jealous. Has anyone else been, and if so, what lens would you recommend I bring or rent?
Well, Eugene, that's hard to know without knowing what you have now, but vacations are a fun time to kind of bring a convenient lens along so that you can really concentrate on enjoying your surroundings and not switching lenses a lot. That's one camp or one group of thought. Another is challenge yourself. Bring just one really nice prime lens like a 24 f1.4 and just walk around with that. Or, take something light, because a lot of times I find when I'm on vacation, I don't like to carry a lot of gear with me. I like to travel fairly light and be a little more relaxed about what I'm shooting. But if you're going there specifically for photography, I also don't know if you have full frame or crop. So that makes it a little tricky. Eugene, you can post on photo recommendations, digital photo recommendations, a post if this answer wasn't satisfying. We could talk a little bit more about some specifics. Crop, 18 to 35 f1.8 is a nice general walk-around lens, as long as you're not trying to shoot any of the crazy awesome birds that they have in Hawaii. And on full frame, 24 to 70 f4. I like that lens. I like that lens a lot.
Let's see.
Deepak wants to know, is the Canon, is the Panasonic G7 the best camera for 4K on a budget, or the NX500? I don't love the NX500 because of lens selection and shooting in H.265. You can only shoot in H.265 and you have to do transcoding. It does create beautiful images, and it is a lovely user face with a gorgeous screen on the back, but I would go with the G7 if I was personally looking for the cheapest way to get into 4K. G7 is very nice.
Matt Dumke wants to know, do we recommend a good printing company? Yes, check out Adorama Pix.
We do.
Nogi wants to know if I print any of my own wedding photos at all. I do not. I outsource all of that. I use a professional lab that takes care of pretty much all of that for me. I used to print them in-house. I did a pretty good job of it. It's just too much. It's I have way too much to do. I don't have time to do that and ship and package and ship. I really like doing that because I could write a little handwritten note and be a lot more personal, but I just had to outsource that. Okay.
All right. Just saw John's post about the Instagram. My Instagram winner, plot twist. Leaf was there, sun was placed. That's pretty good. I like that, John. All right.
All right, everyone. That's it for the live Q&A. That's it for this week's show. Thank you so much for watching.
No, Eggy, the G7 does not crop as much as the NX500, I believe. Sorry.
We're going to move on to the live show, so if you're watching live, hang in there. But if you are not, consider becoming a Patreon supporter so that you can watch the live show.
And that's just one minor perk. Lightroom, access to the Lightroom library of videos, the support group with some fantastic people that have developed awesome photography skills over the last year-ish.
It's a really fun community there.
It is. Yep.
Yeah.
Very nice group of people.
Yeah. So head on over to patreon.com/photorectoby to find out more about that. But otherwise, join us next week live at 6 p.m. Eastern Time for another Photo Mishmash.
And Caspian of Narnia, trying to hang on here, had the suggestion of they went to Hawaii with a 24 to 105, lovely range, that's the convenient lens, and a GoPro. Yes, if you're going to do any time in the water, waterproof camera, rent or buy, that little Olympus I reviewed, fun. Thank you, Eugene, for asking the question, and Caspia of Narnia, which is one of the best books of the Narnia series.
Are we going to end this or not?
I was trying to get one more eye roll out of you for the non-Patreon supporters. Did you say give thumbs up?
No. So give a thumbs up and leave a comment down below if you haven't already. All right, everybody. Goodbye.
Bye-bye. Okay. Why do you...
You're going to just answer them in the after show. That was a really good closing.
Oh, sorry.